Ladies and gentlemen, step right up for another amazing banger by Lex Blaze and Daddy Paul. Touchdown to Heathrow, DP and me, bro. About to hit the club and turn the shoot to a freak show. Look through the peephole, everybody geek, yo. Need to get yo with an extremely deep. See six midgets that be fighting, juggling. Maybe it's just me, cause my mind is struggling. Babes, boyfriend is acting like a clown. Know what's going down every time that we are down. Take a look through the peephole, yo. Everybody's getting geek, bro. Stop the hate and let them neeks know that we turn the club into a freak show. Turn the club to a freak show. Turn the club to a freak show. Turn the club, yeah, we turn the club to a freak show. To a freak show. Look at Snow White.
You at home for joining us this hour. There's a city in Ukraine called Kharkiv. I don't know exactly how you pronounce it. Kharkiv. Kharkiv. It's in eastern Ukraine. It's very close to the Russian border, as you can see there. And in March of this year, about 20,000 people had to be evacuated out of Kharkiv because an arms depot used by the Ukrainian army caught fire. That's what it looks like when your arms depot catches fire. I mean, fire's never good, but fire in a place storing thousands of tons of artillery shells, that's really not good. They moved 20,000 people out of the way for obvious reasons, and that thing kept exploding and kept burning for days. As it burned, it just kept blowing off artillery shells in every direction. That happened in March. When the fire stopped and people were able to get back into that town, they found pieces of missiles and artillery shells and tank rounds all over the town, everywhere. The Ukrainian government said that fire in that arms depot did not start by accident. That obviously is nearby where Russian troops and Russian-supported troops have been pushing at Ukraine's border and where the fighting has been. Ukrainian authorities say they think that artillery depot in Kharkiv in March, it blew up because somebody flew a drone over that artillery depot and then dropped some sort of incendiary device into it, which set off the fire, which set all the rounds going. That's how that days-long set of explosions started. So that was in March. Then earlier this month, it happened again. This time in a city that is right on the front lines of that Russian land grab in Ukraine, in eastern Ukraine, in the Donetsk region. Again, this was an ammunition depot used by the Ukrainian army. Ukrainian authorities say that one also was arson. It was some sort of sabotage. Somebody set that artillery depot on fire. And now today it's happened again. And look at the footage that we've got from this one. This is from Reuters. Their camera, you'll see, is well back from the ammunition depot, right? And you can see these like individual spiraling, zigzagging flashes of light. Looks like they, it's like screwed up tracer fire or drunk fruit flies or something, or drunk fireflies rather. But you see them just sort of going off one by one. You can tell something's going on there. But then ultimately you get what is just a massive, massive blast. Because this is a depot, there it goes, that reportedly holds about 200,000 tons of ammunition. So rocket artillery, tank shells, missiles. This thing started going off last night. Various explosions went off all day long today, including some of these gigantic mushroom clouds that you saw. Ukrainian authorities say that this one, too, may have been started by sabotage. They say this may again have been a case where a drone was flown over this ammunition depot that then dropped something into it to set this thing off. About 30,000 people were evacuated out of the immediate area where this happened today in Ukraine. And, you know, it's unnerving, obviously, for Ukraine that this has now happened for a third time. It's, I'm sure, very upsetting for the Ukrainian army for them to be losing all their artillery and ammunition this way. But this one is particularly unnerving for Ukrainians because this happened really far from the fighting. This happened really far from anywhere near the front lines. I mean, just basic map of Ukraine here, right? The fighting with Russians and Russian-supported troops is in the eastern part of Ukraine. Kiev, of course, is the capital city. Where this happened today is southwest of Kiev. So this is way out of the way. This is in the heartland of Ukraine. But the Ukrainian government is saying today, essentially, that the Russians were able to get them, even there. Russia seized a big part of Ukraine. They seized Crimea in 2014. They've been fighting in other parts of eastern Ukraine ever since. Daily Beast has a good report today, a good reminder of how Russia fights using information warfare alongside real-world tangible tactics like blowing up ammunition depots and invading and seizing neighboring territory. As Facebook is increasingly struggling to answer criticism in this country over how its platform was used in the Russian attack on our election last year and why the company hasn't been more helpful to investigators trying to get to the bottom of that attack and trying to figure out if Americans helped in that attack, Daily Beast reports today that Facebook has been in this battle space before, also involving the Russians. At the same time Russian troops were invading Ukraine to take Crimea in 2014, Russian information warfare operators were using a surprisingly effective technique on Facebook to clear Ukrainian voices off of social media, so the Russians wouldn't have any competition for the information space while it was invading that neighboring country.
Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright. So guys, this is Tommy from Tommy Nation Politics. How's everybody doing today? Good? I'm wearing a little fashion with the white tee. I feel like Kanye. I don't know, guys. But all I know is that y'all gotta shine bright. You gotta shine bright like a diamond, guys. You gotta represent the light inside of us. One of the things we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about how to protect that light and how to keep letting it shine. Because we got a lot of false gods. We got a lot of false prophets. And a lot of propaganda. Conventional wisdom and social norms, guys. And as you know, here at Tommy Nation Politics, we're a free-thinking, innovative, totally open-minded, new progressive media. And one thing we cannot stand is the light of the truth getting now shining. I'm here to shine the light all over the place. And one of the best ways I can do that is to reveal and to break down the games, the nonsense, the manipulation tactics, and the projection of the mainstream media and their oligarchical owners, and also, of course, the puppets of the rich, the Democrats and Republicans. One of the ways you can help me with that, guys, is always, if you watch, if you like, subscribe, share the videos. It's a political commentary that I do, but it's not a political agenda that I do. A political agenda, guys, is an obsessive kind of thing. As you can see with these political parties, their political agenda is only to maintain power and to funnel the wealth to their donors. Any of these political agendas you guys really get into? The Yes We Can, what did that accomplish? Bashing the heads of protesters at Occupy Wall Street? What did Obamacare, what did that political agenda accomplish? Getting together all of the health insurance companies that owned Barack Obama and Citibank, who funded Barack Obama, to get a website where all the poor people could only choose Barack Obama's donors. He was a great middle manager. Guys, I'm tired of the political games, circus, the social norms, conventional wisdom. Here we're finding solutions. Here we're revealing the truth. And here we're telling you that you don't have to be just a mainstream media mogul. You don't have to be conformists. You don't have to be afraid of the banning and canceling of a fascist fake left that is only trying to do this because they know they're fake. They know they're phony, they know they have no argument, they know they have no power. that the only real power resides in we the people. That's why Bernie Sanders said his revolution would not end when he became president. It would only be just beginning, because the people would have to power his movement. People would have to power the revolution. The revolution is no man. The revolution is no moment. The revolution is all of us working together for the common good, guys. And that means protecting each other. That means standing up for each other. That means working together for the common good. That means out of many, one.
Delivery complete. Engage.
Delivery complete. It's a go. It's a go. Eagle 1. Fox 3.
Kelly, this is it.
Come on, come on, come on.
Virus ineffective. Disengage.
So, by now, if you've been watching or listening to the Domination Politics podcast, guys, you should really have stopped already from donating to Republicans and Democrats. You should know that this is an unproductive, lizard brain, knee-jerk reaction. You can go down the list of reasons why you would donate to a political politician, and I have, guys. I'm not judging you. Politicians, but one thing I learned about the 2016 election is that all the money goes to the victor. To the victor goes the spoils. And they pick the victor, guys, through superdelegates, through riggings, through media manipulation, through manufacturing consent to Wall Street, the banks, the military-industrial complex, and television advertisements that seem to work. They spend millions of dollars on them. And they have worked, guys. Which is why Domination Politics exists. I'm shining the light.
Yeah, maybe I am.
I'm shining the light mainly on the projection. It's clear and present projection from here on out with the lapdog, formerly known as the watchdog of the politicians of the political class, the powerful. They used to hold accountable the halls of power so that the real power remained in the hands of the people, who could establish justice, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We have that fourth pillar no more. That wall is crumbled. The fourth wall is broken, guys. They're in cahoots with the powerful. They're owned by the powerful and employed by the powerful. We have a system based on exploitation and the rape of natural resources from all worldly countries, and the colonization of those countries by us, the British, and some of our friends, mostly us, the British. I want to stop it, guys. We can stop. We can become enlightened. We can evolve. I believe in evolution, guys. It happens every day when you decide to change your behavior and stop self-destructing, stop creating negative energy, and start to focus that energy into a positive, lasting solution. A great solution, guys. That one of the best solutions in history was our country, a democratic republic that told a tyrant no taxation without representation. That led to a chain reaction that none of us would have ever known possible. With impossible things, guys, they're only possible if you're not going to do them. If you're going to give up, if you're not going to be that change, there is no change. The change is definitely not, though, voting for Democrats and Republicans. This is a scientific, determined... If you follow the science, guys, you know that. If you know about trial, error, hypothesis, if you know about tests and studies, if you know about history, if you put all of these things into a combination of an argument or a mental epiphany, you will see that these Democrats and Republicans, and if you look at the dictionary, they only want to be elected, they only want to maintain power, and they will push any issue. But at the end of every issue that they push, they will never, ever fulfill their promises. They will only ask you to vote blue or vote red again, and again, and again. Why is this? There is a reason. It's called them wanting to maintain the status quo, maintain their own power in the government, because that's what a political party, their primary objective, not you. The primary objective is power. It's simple, it's not personal, it's business. But so many times we get involved in emotional arguments, and they use these to not only maintain the status quo and keep in power, but they use them to divide the American people and degrade our civilization, and to pervert the system of government that was once a great check and balance for freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, guys. And that's what we need to get back to. Before we can improve on anything, before we can progress, we have to clean our room before we get a new fucking Xbox, you know what I'm saying, guys?
Last week, the memos that James Comey wrote about his White House interactions before he was fired were all released to the public, with only minor redactions, thanks to congressional pressure on the Justice Department to let those things out. That really big news did not make really big news. I mean, the president freaked out on Twitter about it for a number of days running. But the public response, the press response, was more of a shrug, right? Seen it all before, almost literally. That's because you had seen it all before. There was not a lot of news in James Comey's memos, which is the point. His notes hewed so closely to what he had previously told investigators and members of Congress that they seemed boring. But they did also prove the main point, which is that his story hasn't changed one whit. Right? That's your news. I mean, the president has been calling James Comey a liar. But James Comey's testimony really is bolstered by his notes. Those memos match basically exactly what he told Congress and what he said publicly and what he put in his book. His story has been consistent. What he said the first time is what he has still said every time since, which is what it looks like when a person is telling a true story. If you were counting on James Comey seeming like someone who was just making stuff up, the release of these memos proving his consistent memory over time, it might be an occasion to freak out, because he has kept this story straight from the very beginning. That said, we did get one piece of new news from the Comey memos. It was actually new. In the memo from Comey that's dated February 8th, 2017, he writes about a meeting that he had at the White House with the president's then chief of staff, Reince Priebus. They were apparently talking about the Christopher Steele dossier. And in Comey's memo, he makes this note that he told Reince Priebus, quote, much of the dossier was consistent with and corroborative of other intelligence, and the incoming president needed to know the rest was out there. So that's new. The person leading the Russia investigation before he was fired by the president says he told the White House chief of staff that much of the dossier was not only consistent with other information gathered by intelligence agencies, it was corroborated by that information.
So that's what my job is, and I know that it's hard. I know that sometimes I say the F word, or I don't wear a tie, and you can't take me seriously, because I don't look like a lying, sellout, absolute, non-principled piece of shit that works at CNN for millions of dollars, bangs his mistress, cheats on his wife, and never goes to see the kids until they get divorced, and then he wants to really just see the dog. Just so he can manipulate the kids into staying with him more, so he can get more child custody. This is all a negotiation. You see how politics is, guys? It's ugly, isn't it? It doesn't have to be if you have principles and values. It doesn't have to be if you're a good person.
Disengage. Rear flank, follow suit.
Hold on, Command. I want another shot at it.
Sir, I strongly recommend you disengage.
Eagle 1. Fox 3.
Squadron leaders, fire at will, fire at will, fire at will.
We're going in. Squadron leaders, take point.
Eagle 6 at 7. Eagle 5 at 3.
Eagle 1. Fox 2.
Eagle 20, Fox 2.
Evasive maneuvers. Squadron leaders, evasive maneuvers.
You don't have to be a savage, tough on immigrants. You don't have to be a dementia-riddled old man that prostituted himself at a young age for the lobbyist interest groups. You don't have to be a fake and phony Pocahontas Native American. You don't have to be any of those things. You can be you, and you're enough. You're enough only if you have the substance inside of you to be enough, guys. That's what makes you, not your gender or your race. Label that these people put on you has power unless you give it power. You give them power every time you vote for Democrats and Republicans. Every time you identify yourself as a label, you willingly, voluntarily put yourself in a box, guys. What I want to do instead, because they're expecting that, is I want to duck and cover. You gotta help me, guys. We gotta keep each other safe. So stop voting for Democrats and Republicans. Stop donating to them and donate to Tommy Nation Politics, guys. I could be on PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Tommy Nation Politics. One word, capital T, capital N, capital P. Tommy Nation Politics. We're thinking new, independent, progressive media, and I'm doing a crowdfunding fundraiser this summer to try to get some aggressive expansion, to try to do what I can do to upset the apple carts of the establishment. I know I can't affect a lot of change, but I definitely, guys, can affect more change than Bernie Sanders, who you gave $27 to, expecting that he would take care of your everything. Legalize marijuana, Green New Deal. He was cheated. He was struck down. He was betrayed. He was a coward. He supported and endorsed neoliberals, and 40 years of those policies, of the ones he supported, have brought us to this moment. This moment where a uncouth, orange-haired menace to democracy was more progressive than the current dementia-riddled old Vice President Democrat, Dixiecrat. It gives us, it has put us on a trajectory, guys. The madness, the absolute bandwagon mentality, the sports mentality when it comes to life, when it comes to important decisions such as children and education. We've devolved, guys, and we must not. Jesus said we have to ascend, and we have to tell others the good news. And the good news, guys, is we still have a constitution that works for us, and we can still have a government that works for us. We have to make the smartest, best, most important decisions, probably the hardest decisions that we've made in a generation. Are you going to choose to give $20 to Pete Buttigieg, who literally doesn't give a shit about you? He's already got his paternity leave, and 3 cars, and a baby, and a boyfriend, and really, truckers, get out of the way. Are you going to give that money to Tommy Nation Politics? He's going to take your money. Thank you very much for it. Probably put you on, shout out to you on a video, and then use that money to build an empire, a media empire, that will hold these politicians accountable. And that'll be a solution to the problem that Julian Assange clearly defined as the media being an unstable and a corrupt environment. It all stems from that, guys. Remember, usually there's not really any change or evolution unless there's consequences or
Less than
conflict.
a month into the new administration, much of the dossier was consistent with and corroborative of other
We've been doing
intelligence.
our best to keep the world safe, Gary. But now somebody has supplied the terrorists with WMDs, and intelligence tells us they plan to use them. Isn't that right, intelligence?
That is
And the incoming
affirmative.
president needed to know the rest of it was out there. Now, the rest of it that was out there, we think that line in Comey's memo may be a reference to a specific part of the Steele dossier that is as yet publicly uncorroborated. But it's the allegation that Mr. Trump had a special time of his own with prostitutes at Moscow's Ritz-Carlton Hotel during a 2013 trip to Moscow. In his memos, Comey says Trump appeared fixated on that subject, raising the topic over and over again in their face-to-face encounters. At a White House dinner January 27th, Comey says the president said he had spoken to people who had been on the Miss Universe trip with him. They reminded him he didn't stay overnight in Russia for that. Then during a meeting in the Oval Office February 8th, quote, the president explained, as he did at our dinner, that he hadn't stayed overnight in Russia during the Miss Universe trip. This appears not to be a true claim by the president. Flight records obtained by Bloomberg News confirm that Trump landed in Moscow the morning of Friday, November 8th, 2013. He then departed Sunday, November 10th in the early morning hours, confirming that while Mr. Trump did not spend a full Saturday night, the night after the Miss Universe pageant, he did spend the previous night. He spent Friday night in Moscow at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, which is reportedly the same day that he was offered the 5 Russian women to visit him in his hotel room. And of course, he didn't want that.
Intelligence?
The most sophisticated computer in the world.
I have intercepted communications that several terrorist groups are being organized for one massive worldwide attack.
From what intelligence has gathered, it would be 9/11 times 100.
9/11 times 100? Jesus, that's...
Inconceivable! 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 I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yes, 91,100.
Basically all the worst parts of the Bible.
So now you see why we need you. We will disguise you as a terrorist and take you deep into the Middle East. If your acting is successful, you'll be able to get us all the information we need to stop this whole thing from happening. Of course, if you're not interested, there's the door.
In November last year, NBC News reported that Trump's longtime bodyguard Keith Schiller testified to Congress that on the day of their arrival in Moscow, a Russian offered to send 5 women to Trump's Moscow hotel room. Schiller told members of the House Intelligence Committee that he'd laughed at the offer and said, "We don't do that type of stuff." According to Keith Schiller, he and Trump laughed about the offer on their way back to the hotel room that night. He then testified that he stood outside Trump's hotel room for a while, and then he went to bed. One source telling NBC News, Schiller testified that he couldn't say for sure what happened during the remainder of the night. How should we think about this revelation? Joining us now is Julia Ainsley, NBC National Security and Justice reporter. Julia, let me ask you about this new news. I don't know how to fit this all together, but in terms of NBC's understanding of the timeline here, it sounds like the president's assertion that he wasn't overnight in Moscow just isn't the case.
Only if you had the hard tests, the trials, the tribulations that came before the good times, that is the thing that makes you stronger. It's the 2. It's getting over, passing through, enlightening yourself. It's ascending to a higher plane. That's what we got to do, guys. We got to progress. So, I hope you help me on my goal. And I hope you welcome our guests today on the Tommy Nation Politics Tuesday live stream. We've got some great commentary for you. And I hope that you join and work together with us for the common good. Don't be silent. Never be silent, guys. Not having a voice is worse than having a voice and voting for Democrats and Republicans. I don't know. I'll talk about that with my panel.
All right, thanks.
But still, make the claim. Find a threat, invent a threat, or find one somewhere, and hype it beyond comprehension. Neutralize the bizarreness of that supposed and overhyped threat. Neutralize the bizarreness of it through propagandistic mass repetition, and bingo.
But guys, let me show you, before I get into my panel discussion, I want to show you what projection looks like. And propaganda, it's a masterful art form on the cable news conglomerate companies. They've gotten this projection propaganda exercise down to an absolute science. And Rachel Maddow is the doctor of propaganda and projection. We're going to break down her masterful piece on MSNBC, which she's only doing for one night only. One night only. A propaganda you.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
We came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, oh, I'm sure it did.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
Ukraine cracks down on traitors helping Russian troops. On the Associated Press, guys. First, let me tell you, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics, and this is Tommy Nation Tuesday. I'm here with a guest right now, Fluffy Hobo from the Fluffy Hobo Show. Let's bring him on right now, guys. He's been waiting patiently on the green room. How's it going, Fluffy? You there?
Oh, it's going.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
So, sorry about my long-ass pre-video. I was just trying to have something in case, things don't happen, things go down.
Right.
But, let's talk about you. Let's talk about your show, the Fluffy Hobo Show. You talk about a lot of stuff. But you want to tell the audience? You want to tell the audience about your show and whatnot?
Pretty much my show is anything and everything goes. Like, I've got a lot of people that come on and talk about their books, but it's fun to play around with stuff. Kind of semi-political. Like, we get into political talks on my show, but we don't really go into too far. I don't know, I like to keep everything as centrist as possible. I got anything you want to talk about, we go for.
As centrist as possible. So
yeah,
I'm a progressive. I don't know if you've noticed, but so what does centrism mean to you? What is that?
So the best way to define my version of centrist is to be able to pick from one side and the other and make your own form. Like, I understand that universal basic income is one thing and universal health care is another, but I also think like we should have gun rights, but I don't think we need a registry of sorts because that's not based on the Constitution. Overtaxation is definitely a problem. However, I see the understanding of certain social programs like food stamps, WIC, and some welfare programs. I get it. I'm not one side or another staunchly firm, here's my flag. I'm literally a fence-sitting, small L libertarian. Like, it's the best way to describe it.
So, there have been some things that have been kind of irking, I guess, both sides lately with this Ministry of Truth that's been going on. It was established by Joe Biden. I don't know if you've heard about this ministry.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. What kind of side do you think that falls on?
That would fall on the side of a federalist government that's trying to tell the people that we don't need you anymore.
A federalist government. So not fascist, federalist.
Yeah, federalist. Because it's giving the Fed all the power, which is not what they're supposed to do, because the states are supposed to have their own rights. And the federal government's coming in to do more oversight, and when they're not supposed to.
Now, this has been a long time coming, I feel like, with the Patriot Act. It's continuously renewed. And then, as you mentioned, the guns registry. Now, as a progressive, the gun issue is kind of something where I fall upon where I always ask conservatives, like, why you think that you need these guns? Because the federal government has guns that we don't even know about. They have laser beams from the sky. They could kill us all if they wanted to. It's not really about protecting ourselves, per se, I feel like, but it's more about control. And I think that this whole Ministry of Truth, or whatever Joe Biden's calling it, is just another way of adding that whole control aspect onto it. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I mean, to a certain degree, yes. It is about control. It's about holding a narrative, really, when it comes to the Ministry of Truth.
So we're not the only ones doing that. Like I showed on the screen, that we have our country that we've funded about 5 times this year and not funded healthcare. We've not funded a Green New Deal. We've not funded any kind of progressive entitlement programs, as the conservatives would say. But we've been funding Ukraine 5 times already. They're cracking down on traitors helping Russian troops. This was in the Associated Press. If you just read this whole entire article, it's kind of weird. You got pictures of this people. Look at this. Like, this woman, she's in her house. There, all of a sudden, there's hey, is your dad home? Is your husband home? He might be a Russian traitor. Now, it's funny because Zelensky, he was known for trying to stop his political opposition. At the get-go, he's been guilty of shooting his political opposition with rubber bullets and so on. Now he's mirroring the image of the Ministry of Truth in a more, aggressive way. Is this something that I think that I don't know, this is just my opinion. Do you disagree with that?
I don't see why we're in Ukraine at all. I don't. That's one of the things I just don't see why we're there. However, I know why we're there, and it's because we've got several high leading politicians involved in Ukraine business dealings, and that's what they want to defend their assets.
What if this was not about Ukraine at all? What if Putin is just trying to find Hunter Biden?
So
I am trying to find Hunter Biden. That is all I need, Hunter Biden. Where is he?
Here's a theory, and I base this off of nothing besides speculation. Fair warning. Vladimir Putin is dying. He knows he's dying. He doesn't have much time left. He's trying to make a name for himself to be called one of the greats. In order to be called one of the greats, you have to add land to Russia. That's the only reason he's doing this now.
Interesting.
And like I said, it's pure speculation.
So that goes along with the whole what Biden says. He's trying to reignite the Soviet Union, even though the Soviet Union was a communist regime that, in all, Putin's an oligarch, and we all know what communists are. So,
well, Biden also said true not a shot of the pressure. So what the hell does that mean?
True. He's a dementia-riddled old man. So, where does that take us as far as the Republicans go? Then, what do you think, Fluffy?
Well, considering that most Republicans do hearings, we'll have a hearing about it. How many times did we hear that all last 20 years of Republicans having any kind of power? So I think in order for things to actually improve or change, we need to have more populist Republicans that are more based towards a libertarian side that are running as Republicans just to be Republican ticket than we are going to have any kind of establishment narrative. Because if we get rid of the establishments, we're going to have a better chance of making something go forward. Sounds just like a Trumpist Republican there. You think Trump is running in 2024? I kind of hope not.
Me too.
I really like DeSantis. I like what some of the stuff he does and says and gives companies no shit. I do like that because we've had too many lobbyists taking over this country for a long time.
Yes.
And for him to pretty much show a middle finger in a more curious way, I think it's going to be better if he runs.
So as a small L libertarian, you like the fact that he's making Disney pay more in taxes?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, how long has Disney been there, and probably how many OSHA violations are sitting there at their Wonderland? Did you hear the thing with all the Disney employees are now being caught with pedophile scandals? This is
all very interesting. Yeah. It's kind of weird because like Disney raised me as a child, and now I hear all this stuff. And I always knew about the penis in The Little Mermaid, but I just thought it was just harmless fun.
Right.
But this is all this is like another level, bro.
Absolutely. Or is it the Hall of that ride that's there, the Hall of Wax Museums? All the little kids are just ones left behind. That was the going rumor for a long time.
I thought they were all in Finding Neverland. Those were the kids left behind.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
So I feel like, if Trump isn't going to run again, I don't know how this landscape is going to look as far as the running again. Joe Biden, he's not going to run for election, I don't think, but he said he is. But he's a liar, like you pointed out.
Right.
But he's also old and dementia riddled, and his disapproval rating is worse than Herbert Hoover during the Great Depression.
Well, he never had a base to begin with.
I know, except for Bloomberg and people like that, the billionaires who really just want what do they want? I always wondered that. What is it that Bloomberg wanted? Whatever he wanted, he got it.
That's a great question. I don't know. I haven't kept up with Bloomberg at all, so I don't know.
I don't know. He wanted stop and frisk as a mayor. He wanted people to behave. I guess that's what he wants. He wants the control aspect. I think billionaires just want to have control. I think people think that they want more money. I don't feel like that's it. I think they've reached a new place in time where money isn't valuable anymore. It's now people are valuable. Controlling minds is valuable. Having influence is valuable. Money has nothing to do with it anymore.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, look at Elon. What is he doing? He's buying Twitter. Why?
Right.
I think it's because he's bored. I absolutely think it's because he's bored. And he likes the chaotic mindset of being able to watch people just shrivel online. I really do, because if you see some of his tweets, he's funny about it.
I know. He is, and he's saying all the right things. It kind of makes you feel like, why didn't he just end world hunger first, though?
Okay. How? How would he end world hunger?
Why wouldn't he take all those billions of dollars and just buy massive amounts of food and food trucks and ship that food all over the world?
So here's where this problem comes in. It's actually because we have too many laws for how he can spend his money. If he spends his money in a certain way, and that's not based off of a corporate buy or something else, he has to go through so many different certain different writings and legislations and tax things and whatnot to go through. So for him to donate, say, $200,000 to the Red Cross, he has to go through several different loopholes of where this money come from, how did it get there, how is it going to get there, which account is it going to go through, and then how is it going to get taxed? Because we have a system that wants, you're going to give somebody $5, well, we want 35%. So there's too many issues of why didn't he just give it to the homeless, or why didn't he do this or that? It's because he really can't. He's got handcuffed and from a law of how to do it.
That's interesting. That's a logical reason. But what about all those ways he can avoid paying federal income taxes with his business?
How so?
The Cayman Islands, the ship. You know how the former what's her name? I was going to say Minister of Education, but what was her Secretary of Education did? She went on her yacht. She flew a Cayman Islands flag, so she didn't have to pay those taxes. Right. I mean, there's plenty of loopholes. Not paying your federal income taxes. Why aren't there loopholes when it comes to feeding the homeless? I'm sure there are.
Oh, because it doesn't benefit the billionaire class. That's why.
I mean, that's another good reason. That's good reasons for a small L libertarian. Okay. So, you want DeSantis for president? Is that what I'm hearing?
I would like to see him run. Whether he wins or not, I would like to see him run.
Do you think there's going to be a conglomerate of different establishment crony Republicans in the wake of Trump not running again if he doesn't, that are going to drown out DeSantis?
Maybe. Like if Ted Cruz runs, I think he's going to get a decent amount of pull. A decent amount. I don't think he's going to actually win though. But I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try. But right now with the media having DeSantis' name plastered everywhere, that's a big bonus for him. And there's a lot of average people that see what he's doing with the education system, and they're like, I like that. I want more of that. So that's a big thing too, because he's got name recognition and a plan.
And what do you see about the side of the Democratic Party? How are they gonna lose the old men? How do you think they're gonna lose the old men?
Throw young blood at the wall until something sticks. There's no other way they can get it.
Booty judge, the booty judge. The booty
judge. He can run. I'd give him a fair shake. I'd say he would get at least 40% of the Democratic vote naturally. I don't think he'd get any more of that, no matter how hard he tried. Because when he first ran, he had a lot of backdoor dealings, and he pretty much went off the campaign and got a whole bunch of money for somehow, and then went back out there.
That's what they all did, bro.
He was their poster boy for a long time, and then he got shut out because nobody liked him.
I mean, nobody likes any of these fucking retarded politicians, I swear to God. I don't even know. Like, the only reason that they beat Bernie was because they coalesced around Biden, and then they had to make a phone call with Obama. Let me be clear, you're going to vote for this fucking son of a bitch that I thought he was a racist.
No shit.
The guy that said I was clean and articulate. Right. Speaking of which, here's another thing we could talk about is the Amazon unions. It's funny that Jeff Bezos mentioned that Charlie Smalls, who is the president of the Amazon union, wasn't clean and articulate. But he became the Amazon president. What is it with white people and the clean and articulate thing? Can you answer me that? Is that just a thing? It seems to be their chief thing. He's clean and articulate.
I don't know if that's a white people thing.
I mean, every time these rich white people talk about black people, it's always, oh, he's clean and articulate. He's very articulate. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Well, are they more liberal or are they more democratic based?
No, they're always very liberal. That's why they say clean and articulate, because like, I don't know, the rednecks would just be like, hey, he's a fact. I don't know what they'd say, but it wouldn't be clean and articulate.
Well, there's been studies shown the fact that like most liberals and democratic voters will look at a black person and dumb down their vocabulary just naturally, as to where more Republicans and libertarians won't.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
Because I'm a college snob and I went to a pristine university, so you obviously must not have been there.
Well, if they were there, they would be the ones asleep in the common room at Harvard, and you would have called the police on us.
Yeah, they did that. They legit did that.
Isn't it funny how they're the ones, like, literally, I've not let them get away with this, Fluffy.
Right.
I've not let them get away with the fact that they're the ones, and every one of step, the poolside patty, the lemonade thing, the liberals are the ones calling the cops on black people.
That's why I sided a lot with conservatives lately. As of late, I've been siding a lot with a lot of the conservatives because they're realist people. I'm not saying the politicians, I'm saying the people. They're more realist. They're more to have an open conversation with you. And if you talk about how somebody did something bad, they're like, yeah, that kind of sucked. Yeah, that's not our brightest moment.
Right. And then the liberals are just going to be like, what aboutism Trump? What aboutism this? It's pretty much like that. You can't really get a clear answer.
You're victimizing me with my words. Quit using my words against me. That kind of mentality is going to be devastating to this country.
Well, it's culminated into a fucking truth ministry, so obviously it has. And so what do you think? I mean, just to come back to that, because it's all come back to that, Fluffy. It's all coming back to this moment where now the fact checking, it's all come back to this moment. And this is another, I believe it's the dawn of a new era. Is this something that DeSantis or any Republican can really stop? Or are they going to take it like they took the Patriot Act and go with it? They're going to take the reins of government and then usurp within the people more power.
So I think we need to, in a general broad sense, I think we need to start going through and have like a commission to deregulate old laws. Like some of the laws that don't make sense anymore. Like you're not allowed to bake an apple pie on a Tuesday or something and have it on a shelf. Those laws still exist. So I think we need to have a proponent to add sunset clauses to every law moving forward. Like say it's a 10-year sunset clause. So after 10 years, the House or the Senate has to revote to confirm it. I don't know how to answer the question of how to get rid of the Disinformation Act or anything, the Patriot Act, because it keeps too many government jobs in check. Like the, what is it? What's the organization that spies on us? The NSA. The NSA is always going to be there. Well, that's a government job. And we have to tax people to get the government jobs to keep them there. So why would you get rid of the program? Because then we're going to lose tax revenue if we do that. That's just, they're looking for more ways to spend money and justify their spending.
True. So here's my last question, because as you know, I'm kind of going through a sinus infection, and I'm probably going to have to cut this short because I'm in a little bit of pain. Audience, sorry about that. I am a human being. Sorry, guys. But what are we going to do with the media? Because the media was supposed to be the watchdog, and here they are. This really burned my bridges right here. They bring back the White House Correspondents' Dinner right after Trump leaves office.
Right.
These guys are just in your face lapdogs of the powerful, bro. They are like, there's something we got to do about these guys. Like, really. There's something we got to do about these guys.
It might be a hot take, but look what the Daily Wire's doing. They have their own media outlet. They're like, you look at you have your own independent media outlet. That is what's going to be able to take over the mainstream media. One of the good examples, who may be a little bit on the controversial side, but look at Tim Pool, what he's building, if you're familiar with him at all.
Yeah.
He's got a massive audience, and he's just doing news. And what does he say? I just come on the internet and bitch about my feelings. That's his news cycle. And people flock to it because it's somewhat honest.
Yes. Tim Pool, I'm going to have to check him out more. I was here because, again, a progressive. And it's kind of a weird time where, like, there is no real side to any of these issues. We're all just listening to the facts and trying to make our own minds, which is good. But I watch the Young Turks, and they seem to be not. I don't agree with them very much right now on anything.
Just stop giving your money to the Young Turks.
Yeah, I've never given my money to the Young Turks. I know they have plenty of it. But when Tulsi Gabbard was talking about the whole, law, this Don't Say Gay bill, and I'm watching, and I hear what she's saying. She's saying, I want to protect kids. And then I hear Anna Kasparian, on the other hand, talking about, did you hear what kind of a bigot she is? She is just a bigot, isn't she? I heard my own ears. She's saying something about protecting kids. Where did you get bigot from that, Anna? This is just an interesting thing.
Well, where did you get gay from in the anti-grooming bill for the most part? Because gay is not in it's a 3-page bill. Gay is not in it. Homosexual is not in it. Period. Right. If anything, it should be don't talk about traditional marriage bill, because that says the same thing in there. You're not allowed to talk about marriage in general. So that's another thing about the liberal media right now, is that they're literally, since they don't have an argument, they're just they're smearing you with whatever they have, and then if it doesn't stick, then they're just gonna fucking ban you, and that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what the Ministry of Truth is designed for. If you don't match the narrative, you're gonna get rid of. Yeah, so that's my fear as far as the independent news media goes. But I guess I'm just gonna one. Yeah. I mean, they're already doing it on YouTube hardcore. Like, literally, they're going through the list of videos that I have down, and they're just getting rid of them and giving me strikes for videos that I've had like years ago that have nothing to do with news. This is inappropriate. This is just, you smile too much in this. They're combing through my entire channel, bro. Could it be because of the copyright infringement idea that was going through recently? What is that? Tell me about this. So they're going through and they're doing a lot of copyright infringement policies. Like earlier in the show, you had Team America World Police playing. Yeah. Because you had that going for so much amount of time, they're able to copyright infringe on top of it to get a video removed. Right. Well, I'm very careful on that because I know the Fair Use Act of 2007. So right. I know there's a certain amount of time, and there's certain, it's supposed to be 10 seconds. And then I have music playing underneath that. So it's supposed to be collaborative, and then it's supposed to be for commentary. So right. I usually can't get out of that, but you're right. They are kind of, things get nailed. It's more likely, it's what their reasons are. It's misinformation. They're just saying misinformation on the letters. So it's not even copyright infringement. It's just misinformation, period. Well, a lot of these big companies are able to be like, oh, I'm going to copyright strike this, and you can take us to court for it, because they know a lot of small creators don't have the money to take them to court. Oh, yeah, that's true. And so, they just take down anything and everything. See, that's why I want donations, so I can fucking take these guys to court. I would love to just do that too. Oh, I'm not doing this for the money at all. This is my hobby. Yeah. Well, I just want enough money to kick these guys in the nuts a few times, so they learn how to back the fuck off. If you get a hold of a cartel, I'm pretty sure they can arrange anything. Yeah, but then and then I'll have all the free drugs I need. Yeah, it's true. Hey, that's a good idea, Fluffy. I think I'll go with that. Well, man, it was good to have you on the show. I want you on the show again when I'm feeling better. If you open invitation. If you like being here, happy. Yeah, throw me an invite whenever. But before I go, you want to tell people where to find you and where to reach you and all that stuff? Oh, it is the Fluffy Hobo Show pretty much everywhere. I got the YouTube Fluffy Hobo Show, which I just started a D&D show episode. Aired yesterday, I think. Twitter, I got my Rumble, I got Minds. It's all the Fluffy Hobo stuff. You can find me anywhere, pretty much. All right. Well, we will, and I'll be watching, guys. All right. And I hope you guys do too. Because remember, we got to be free-thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded. Thanks for watching this Domination Tuesday. This episode was called Duck and Cover. And y'all have a great Tuesday. Thanks. I'm freezing at the end of it. Great. Hello? I can hear you. You can hear me? Can you see me? No, you're frozen.